So, if you ask any ministry leader, one of the things that all of us would say is that we would love to have more people signed up for groups in our church. And so, today on Practical Church Planting, we're going to give you 8 tips for more small group signups.
Thanks for joining us again today on Practical Church Planting. Today we're going to be giving you 8 tips for more small group signups.
So, this is all types of groups: small
Yes.
groups, cell groups, community groups, life groups, circle groups, fellowship groups, friendship groups,
Missional communities.
missional community groups.
There's probably others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever your
Other groups,
your structure is, we call them community groups, but small groups is kind of like the universal term.
Yeah.
How do you get more people to connect and to sign up and engage in them? And that's what we're going to talk about this episode. We like to mention from time to time. At the end of the day, take or leave anything that we say. You got to do what you feel convicted and led to do in your context and in what you've experienced and all that sort of thing. So some of these you might work well for you. Some of them might not. This is never always not the best way. These are just tips and advice. And so if you feel convictionally to do something differently, do it. But if you want to try some things, all of us want our group signups to be more than they are. But if you feel like you got a good system and process, that's great. If you're looking for some ways to maybe engage more people, here are some things that we have done and have learned that might be able to help you. So here we go. Number 1 is that your small groups, whatever you call them, should take group breaks. Now, we'll talk about in a second, when you take group breaks, this does not mean when you end the breaks that everyone needs to join brand new groups, because that will be not what people want to do.
Yes.
But we would encourage proactively scheduling certain times during the year where groups will not meet. Now, you might be like, well, they need to meet all the time and for the mission of the church, but people need rhythms of rest. If they've got family and other responsibilities, it's just nice to know that what I'm signing up for is not for forever. And it just helps it helps keep people engaged. It makes group exciting because it's like, oh, we took a break for a while. Now we're going to be back together. Like, you want to see each other. And I don't know, it makes it more likely, I think, for people to sign up knowing that they're not signing up for a lifetime commitment, and makes for easy on and off ramps. And so what we would encourage is not just to take a week off here or there, but actually say, here's when groups are on break.
Yep.
And if they want to hang out socially, they can. I wouldn't try to push it, because again, you don't want people to feel like they have to, but say, here's, we're signing up for groups. Here's how long groups are going to run. Then we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back to it. But taking group breaks can really help people stay engaged and know they're not signing up for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and it really helps, especially when the breaks are over and regathering. It really helps build momentum because people are excited to see each other again. I mean, most likely they've seen each other at church and hopefully outside of church in some capacity, but it really helps to kind of, you have different things you can kind of build towards. So you take a break, and then people are excited to relaunch groups, and you kind of get that momentum of people kind of re-engaging a little bit. And so it just helps. I mean, people need breaks from time to time. It's a weekly, at least here, we do groups weekly. And so something weekly for the rest of your life is kind of a lot with life and kids and jobs and church and all that stuff. And so having breaks, especially at times that people are commonly doing things, like we do our breaks in the all December, right? The Christmas season, and then in the summer and some other time. I don't remember when. But in times where people are most likely going to be doing things to the best of our knowledge. And it just helps give people a little bit of a break and helps them get kind of re-engaged and re-excited for groups starting back up again.
Yeah, so most of our groups meet weekly. A couple meet every other week, and so sometimes they'll do stuff in the meantime, which again, if your structure is every other week, this is maybe not as important.
Yeah,
but
true.
A lot of people try to do it every week, and it's just nice to know that there's going to be a break. It keeps you energized. People also might be like, well, we don't want to take a break, and it's just kind of like serving at your church. People will sign up like, well, I'll serve every week, or we're fine, but at some point they're going to get burned out, or they're not going to like it, or they may even be resentful, even though they were the ones that said they were going to serve every week, and now they're actually. You gotta think about the long-term health of your people, and taking group breaks are a great way to do that. Again, like Brian said, typically all of December we take it off because it's just a natural time. Sometime in the summer or late summer we take it off. One thing we do differently. So typically for us it's like 4 to 6 weeks too. So they're not long. We don't take all of summer off. There's this tendency in ministry to be like, it's the summer, nothing happens. And I get it. People travel, but people don't travel the entire summer. So the summer, people are traveling in a shorter window. So a lot of people travel maybe a couple times, but they're not gone for 3 straight months.
Yes.
And so when we shut everything down, like it can be detrimental. So for us, we don't take all summer off.
Yeah.
Like if you have people gone here and there, that's fine. Not everyone's going to be gone every week. So we like this year we took off, gosh, I don't know, around May, and then we started groups again like beginning of June, which might be weird, but whatever.
Mhm.
And then we took a break around August or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take a break around December, and 4 to 6 weeks each time, not forever. And anyway, it's just people really, I think, really do appreciate that.
Yeah, it just helps to not have something that people, like you said, that people aren't signing up for something for indefinitely, signing away every week for the rest of your life. But there's breaks, and it helps people just stay engaged and not get burnt out as quickly.
Yeah. So you might be thinking, well, how does taking group breaks, Dylan and Brian, help people sign up for more groups?
I'm glad you asked.
We are glad you asked. Here's the second point, which goes with it, but we couldn't say it first because it would give the first point away.
Exactly. Yep.
And that is that you should push for group signups a few times during the year. And if you take group breaks, it is a very natural time, organic time to say, now's a great time to sign up.
Yep.
And it doesn't feel forced. People, obviously, it makes sense. Like you talk about it. Now, it's not that you can never talk about groups any other time of the year, but if you're always trying to push something, if you're always talking about something, people just stop paying attention to it. It doesn't seem that important. And so for us, when we take a break, 2 to 3 weeks before groups get back into it, we start talking to people about signing up. Now, as we said, and as we're going to talk about more in a couple of points from now, if you're in your group, you stay in your group. So if you take group breaks and then you have people sign up for new groups every time, people are not going to do that. You might be excited by that, but the average person, they're not trying to meet new people every time. They want to see the same people. They want to have friends. They want to deepen their relationships with the people that they know. And so for us, if you're in a group, you don't have to re-sign up. I see this sometimes where people who have already signed up for something, people ask them to sign up again. Don't do that.
Yeah.
They're not going to sign up.
30 in.
And they're going to just be like, why are you asking me to do this?
Yep.
So keep your rosters. Don't throw them away. We just say if you're in a group, you don't have to do anything. But if you're not in a group, the groups are starting in X couple of weeks. Sign up now. And it's an easy and organic way to push them multiple times a year because you take multiple breaks, and so you get a lot of signups when you talk about it. So
it's far more effective to talk about it intensely in a short amount of time rather than mentioning it all the week, every week, forever. It's you'll get a lot more people signing up if you focus on it for a short amount of time rather than just kind of we mention it in the service every week, and so we hope we assume people will sign up. But this way, people get excited about it, or from staging, get excited about it. Obviously, people that are already in groups will hopefully get excited about regathering again, and we'll talk to other people. And if it's like a church-wide push, it really helps get people to sign up rather than just kind of having it be something that's just kind of mentioned here and there.
Yep.
And so it really helps you bring people on and helps feel like a more church-wide thing rather than I'm the new person, I'm the only one signing up, and going to be kind of thrown in the group in the middle of a season.
Yep. So push group signups a couple times a year. Even if you do breaks differently, just pick a couple times. Say, here's a couple weeks we're going to focus on it. People will sign up for the things that you talk about, that you push. If you talk about it all the time, again, they won't. But if there's a couple times a year where you're like, hey, groups are starting, now's a great time, you will get a lot more signups than just hoping randomly people will just say, hey, I want to join a group. Because sometimes that happens, but typically it's because they were told about it. Yeah. It's like we sell shirts and hoodies. We make them time to time, and we sell them here. And the only time we sell them, though, is when we talk about them. They're always available. So we made new shirts, I don't know, earlier this year or something.
Yeah, a handful of months ago.
And so other shirts, we still had them, and so we were trying to get rid of them before the new shirts came out. So all we did was mention it from stage. Mm-hmm. We discounted them a little bit, but I mean, what's $5? Yeah. That's not why they bought the shirt. Because we talked about it, and then we got all the shirts gone.
Yep.
And then we bought the new shirts. We sold a bunch of them, and now we have a handful of them just sitting at our Connect table.
In fact, just a couple weeks, someone bought one. My wife's mother bought one, and she was telling me, she's like, "Man, my mom wanted to get a shirt. She got one." And I was like, "Do we even still have the shirts out?" I couldn't even remember it because we just don't talk about them, and so no one gets one because we don't talk about it.
So talk about groups, push them a couple times a year, and you will actually get more signups.
Exactly.
Number 3, this goes with the group push somewhat, but that is on your Connect card. Remember how you take people's information, and we have episodes on how to do that and what to put on them. Have groups on your Connect card. So in other words, have like a check mark that people can fill in or check off if they want more information. So for our Connect cards, you have name, email, and phone is one thing we ask. And then on the back, there's like baptism, I decided to follow Jesus, groups, serving, I don't know, something else.
Yeah.
But like their next steps, that if you want more information, you can check that. Mm-hmm. And so the best way to get people to sign up for groups is to, when you're pushing the thing from stage, again, you want to have Connect cards like easily accessible in the auditorium. The seat back in front is what we do. All I have to do is fill it out and check it. And that is the primary way people sign up. Yes, we get some signups online when we talk about during the push, but it is overwhelmingly in the service on the Connect cards because it's right then. And it's even different than we've done a lot of, we don't do this anymore. But in the past, we've done a lot of like, you can sign up online for groups or anything, but also like a sign up sheet at the Connect table. That never gets used because again, unless they can do it in the moment, their chances of doing it are really small. Or they'll think, when I get home, I'll sign up online, and then they never sign up.
Yep.
And so on your Connect card, have a groups thing on there. Now, it's fine even if you're not currently pushing groups, because these people can see it if they're filling Connect card, like that's a thing that you offer. But when you're doing a groups push, you want to have it easily to sign up on it, and that is by having a Connect card or community group or whatever you call them, group option on your card.
And outside of your little like push time, I would say the majority, not every, but the majority of signups that you'll get of just like a random one-off of visitors are going to be because they see it on the Connect card. Like we can't mention it every single week, so not everyone's going to get all the information. But especially if they're a regular church goer, like if they're coming from a different church or maybe moved to the area and familiar with how church works, that's going to be the main reason, or the main avenue, the main way that they sign up for groups is by checking off the thing and not necessarily signing up, but to want more information about it. And so if you leave that off your Connect card, I think you're really missing out on this kind of easy way for people to be able to connect. And obviously it's not going to be it's all these, like no single one of these is obviously the one thing you need to do, but it's just another thing in the list of things. So make it easy for people to be able to get information, especially during the push times. Like if you're talking about it from stage, you got to be able to tell people like right now in this moment. Because like, for us, we do announcements at the beginning of service or, first quarter of service. And
I like that within the first quarter.
the first 15 minutes. But by the end of service, that's so many things have happened that is long gone out of their minds. And so like you got to be able to tell people right now, pull it out, reach in front, seat back in front of you for us, grab it and fill it out. Otherwise, it is going to be out of their minds quick. So make it super easy on the Connect card.
So have groups on your Connect card. It's an easy thing. We've done groups for 4.5 years old, and we get some online, so that's during group. But the number one, nobody signs up the little paper form. Hardly anyone ever does that.
Nope.
But if you have a Connect card, they'll check it off and they'll drop it off. Even if it's a normal person, you can just say, hey, if you're not in a group yet, just put your name, email, whatever, and check groups. If you're a smaller church, you have a good idea of knowing if they're a new person or not. If not, well, follow up with them like they're a new person. Who cares?
Yeah,
fun.
Exactly.
But that's how you do it. Get people to sign up. Again, make sure that people that are in groups know they don't have to re-sign up because that would get confusing. But if they're not in a group, check Connect card.
Exactly.
Number 4, this one's maybe simple, but all the more things the better, is to have your group graphic in your pre-post slides. Again, I don't know if that's what you call them, but the slides that are on your screens before the service.
Pre and post.
And after service.
Yep.
That's right. We have our slide. It runs all year, so even not during our pushes, because you can sign up for a group whenever you want. So it's just always there. And if you come early, you're looking at the screen. After the service, you're probably not looking at it as much because you're talking to people or you're leaving. But it's just another reminder like, hey, we have groups. You can sign up online or you can just sign up for them. But that's an easy thing. If you don't have a graphic, make a graphic and include it in your rotation before and after service.
Yeah, this is just an easy thing. It's not going to get a ton of signups, obviously, but it's a way that, especially if you use something like ProPresenter where you can make preset groups of slides. Then we just dump it in there and it's just always running. Always running before and after services. So it's not something that's going to revolutionize, but it's super easy thing. It takes just a couple minutes and then you can kind of set it and forget it.
Yep. So put your group graphic in your pre-post slides. That's the quickest point we've ever done in the history of this podcast.
That's right.
What
more should I say about it? I don't know.
That's right. Number 5, this is really important, and that is that your leadership should be in groups. So whether you have elders or staff or whatever your leadership structure is, key volunteers that have a lot of responsibility, visible responsibility at your church, if they're not in groups, other people will not sign up for groups because it looks very much like you want me to do something that you're not going to do yourself. And I've grown up around the church, and so I've been in places where people on staff were part of groups and people who were on staff weren't part of groups. And there's just like this correlation that always happened that if you don't think it's important, then why should you expect other people to think it's important? That's also important too. Like it's not to say someone's not a Christian or doesn't deeply love Jesus, but if you have somebody who says like groups are just not my thing and groups are an important part of how you do church, you got to make sure you have leaders that are doing and living out the things that are valuable to you. It's the same problem that you can run into where if you maybe have a highly gifted somebody who's serving, but they only come to church once or twice a month, but you have them in this big serving role that everybody sees. Well, then people realize, oh, they're only here when they're serving. I guess, being here is not that important.
Yep.
So I'll just come when I want you to come too. You need your leaders to emulate it, because if it's worth doing, they should want to do it. And if it's not worth doing, well, that's another problem. But if you care about groups at your church and your leadership is not in groups, or you're not in a group, you're gonna have a really hard time getting people in groups.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always seasons where if someone needs to take a break for a season or can't do it because of something happening in their life, like that's fine. But long term, everyone in leadership needs to be in a group. I mean, I would say that if group's something that you value, that it should be a discussion before someone comes on to be a leader in some capacity. Like that should be the expectation.
Yeah.
We need you to be in a group, and hopefully that's not a surprise. But especially if groups are something like we have our church values and kind of an action with each value, and we have a wall in our lobby that are like our next steps that we give people in faith. These are the kind of next steps taken. One of them is community groups. So it's clear being here that community groups matter to us. It's not just like an afterthought. And so if we had someone who's whether it's a staff member or an elder who wasn't willing to be in a group or didn't see the value in it, then it just wouldn't really work for them to be in leadership here, because that's something that we value highly. And regardless of if their heart's in the right place, it's not like they're they're awful, whatever, if they're not interested, but this just might not be the place for them to serve at a high capacity or to lead. And so you got to be able to be willing to have those conversations and be willing to kind of face those realities. But I would say, as much as life allows, and you always have to be kind of semi gracious with people if something in life really gets in the way and they got to take a season off. But for the long term, all leadership needs to be in groups if it's something that you value as a church.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
So and just look, I mean, and again, the challenge is you might have some really gifted leaders, but if they can't live out what's important for you guys to live out, it's going to be really hard for people to do it. Like if let's say you have I don't know, just like, anyone who maybe they travel a lot from work, and it's not to say they can't have leadership roles, but if they can't do something that's really important and people will catch on to that, you're gonna have less people in groups that would have otherwise. So.
And that's a good point. Like, someone who travels a lot for work or something like that, obviously they may not be against groups or have something or be uninterested, but if it's something that they're just never going to be able to make, it looks bad on their part, obviously, but also if there's someone who maybe signs up for a group and then always has to miss, like that it reflects poorly on the leadership of the church if they don't look like they can commit to something that the church is constantly saying, this is something that's important to us. Yeah. And so that it's like I said, it's not that they're a bad person, but it just might mean that this isn't a place that they can really lead.
Yep. And there's exceptions to all the rules.
Yes.
But generally speaking, if you want people in groups, the leadership have to be bought in groups themselves. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time ever getting probably over 50% of your people in groups or adults in groups. If the leadership's not in them, it's going to be really hard for you to do that.
And what we know is like people sign up for groups. I mean, there's a huge amount of reasons, but the most effective way to get people signed up for anything is through relationships, whether it's serving, groups, whatever, is someone personally inviting someone and saying, come to group, like that's where you're going to get people that are interested in it. And so if your leadership isn't doing that, if your leadership isn't willing to talk to people about groups, kind of share the reason that they're in it or invite people to it, then it's kind of going to be working against you a little bit. People are going to look at the leadership as if they don't follow the things that you as a church are saying are important for your faith.
Yep. Yeah. So leadership in groups. Number 6, this is the hottest take, although not surprising if you're part of New City, or not part of New City.
Well,
definitely not surprised part of New City, but if you're part of the Practical Church Planning listenership,
yes,
that is not to multiply groups. So this goes against everything you hear all the time about multiplying groups, really splitting groups, but multiplying groups, that sounds better.
Yep.
Because you want to reach more people and you want to be missional, and so get as many people as you can so that you can split. And I get it. I do. I think part of it, though, from my experience, is that people just assume you're supposed to multiply groups because that's what everyone says, and they don't actually consider what is the actual best strategy for starting new groups. And the thought process is if it's just like us, what's the saying? Us four, no more. People heard that or whatever. It's just like if you're hanging out with the same people, it can get stale. It can get selfish or inward focused, not outward focused. And I would say, part of the Christian life is not just living on mission, but growing deeper into your relationship with Jesus. And you need deep friendships to do that. And a culture that's highly fragmented, highly work from home, travels a lot. We all have Netflix and TVs, and like we're not around people. People don't have friends. And one of the best ways they can have friends is in a group. And if they're constantly having to change their friend group because they have to multiply their group, it gets really discouraging. And I don't know everyone's experience on it. I don't know your experience on it. Christina and my wife, Christina and I have had experiences where we've had to multiply groups in other churches, and it's just not fun. And feelings get hurt, and typically the group that multiplies, aka the people that were part of the initial group, that group is fine. The people that multiply, oftentimes things don't go well.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get a lot of people and you have to decide who gets to stay and who doesn't get to stay. It's really hard. It's also, you kind of know, like, if our group goes well, you kind of get punished because people want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we have to lose our friends. And there's a great book by Larry Osborne called Sticky Church. He talks about groups. We do our groups a lot based off what he says in that book. And he talks about kind of the thought process behind like the multiplying groups movement and where it came from, and basically talk about how it's like different cultures. Like in American culture, it's a lot easier for someone to go to someone's church than somebody's house. But in other cultures, it's easier to go to somebody's house than a church building. Yeah. And so cultures like that, a multiplying group strategy makes sense because people are going to go there. In our culture, people are going to go to a church building first before they go to somebody's house. And it can just be really bad. So all that to say, we'll talk a little bit more about this here for a couple more minutes, but we go into a lot of detail on episode 13. So
that's a way back.
We have a lot of episodes. We realized that probably if you're new to this, you're not going to listen to the old ones.
Yes.
So we wonder at some point if we should just start over.
Yeah.
Like, will anybody notice?
See if our opinions have changed.
Well, see if anyone would notice as well. They don't, though. That's the thing, because I've thought about doing ones. Like, I'm like, this is the exact same thing we would say.
Yeah, there you go.
So episode 13, we go into more detail about why we don't multiply groups and what we do instead. But for us here at New City, what this means is you're in a group. If you like it, you don't ever have to leave your group. When you take a group break, you go back in your group.
Yep.
If we need more groups, what'll happen is we'll invite people to lead groups, and they don't take anyone out of the group. So we just start our groups again. Last week as of this recording.
Yeah.
And somebody that was in my group is now leading a group this fall, and nobody left with them. Now, of course, if somebody really wants to, they can.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop
that's
them.
That's good, yeah.
But there was not, okay, half of you are going to go with him. They said we needed more groups. He wanted to lead a group. He's going to do a great job. And so new people that sign up are going to be part of his group.
Yep.
But if you're in your group, and they're capped, like they're just capped. And again, for us, we've got 2 services on Sunday. Like you don't get to see all the same people all the time. And so it's valuable for people's development and discipleship to actually be able to have long-term friends that they enjoy and actually want to be around. So we cap it. And then we say, this is where follow-up is really important. If you sign up for a group, when it's not like a serve push and that the night that you want, the groups don't have any extra availability, we will say, hey, we're going to do another serve push and however long it's going to be. We will follow up with them, though. This is not like they signed up and they just have to wait forever. Like, we will let them know.
Yep.
And people are fine with that. As long as people know, like, the expectations of when they're going to get in a group, they're generally going to be okay.
Yeah.
But we cap groups, and we have found it to be a lot more effective than trying to split them all the time.
Yeah, and this means you might have to have... You have to be willing to not give everyone what they want, I guess is the way to put it.
Yep.
Like people, like Dylan said, there's going to be times where people sign up for a group and they have only this specific night free and you just don't have room in a group.
Yep.
But you have room in a group in another night. So it's like, it can be kind of painful to tell them, we don't have a space for you. We have to wait till the next group sign up. When you know there's another night available, but they just can't make it. And you're like, this group needs people. But you just have to be willing to do that. And we can't just continually add people. The more you just kind of like keep pushing people into groups, the bigger it gets, the harder it is for people to be vulnerable.
Yep.
Obviously, we meet in people's homes, so space-wise is always an issue. Like, you can't just always add people. And there comes a time if it gets too big, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to split? The answer for us is no. But if it's too big, then what's the alternative? You can't just have this like gigantic group forever. And so the answer for us is, we cap groups, and then if we need more leaders, we talk to people about being leaders. And this is one of the things that we do here, which we talk about in episode 13, so we won't rehash the whole thing, but we make leading a group very easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to have any background knowledge. You don't have to, you have to be a believer, but like, you don't have to have led groups before. You don't have to take this huge, long, months-long training or sit under someone and learn from them, whatever. We have a training process to go through, but it's quick and easy, and people can lead groups if they want to lead groups, as long as we're comfortable with them. Pretty much anyone,
Yeah.
It's built so that anyone can take and lead a group. We make the guides for them. They don't have to come up with questions. We help them facilitate, show them what group is like, and so we're able to bring people on to lead groups, and really helps us. Even though we have to cap groups, I don't think we've ever run into a point where we just like have no room in groups across the church.
Yep.
Because we bring new leaders in. But splitting it, like you said, splitting groups in half, someone's got to decide who goes where. I would hate to have that responsibility, and like it's never going to work out well for everybody. So this is a much more effective way. That the group you're in, unless you have a reason you want to leave, is going to be your group for the long term. And that way you can actually build like lasting relationships with them and not constantly be like wondering if you're going to be shifted around or not, or unsure what the future is going to hold.
People are much more likely to stay connected to group if they like their group and there's going to be breaks and they can come back to the same people.
For sure. Yep.
And it's even better. I mean, it's not always ideal depending on how many new people you have and how many people you have signing up for groups. But in an ideal world, it's always better to start new groups with new people because it is hard, even if everyone is really friendly, for a new person to get connected to a group and everyone else knows them. So it could take a while. But if it's a new group and most of the people are new, the bonds form much quicker. And so that's the advantage of that as well. And so, again, episode 13, if you're really interested, take you about 30 seconds with your thumb to scroll down to it.
Yeah, it might take a while. But that's totally true. New people, like, it's hard to plug into a group of people that have been around forever, and then a new person joins, and it's like, and, you do that thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but like you go, it's almost like you're going around the circle and everyone's asking you different questions, and it's like, this is awful to me. I mean, I hate stuff like that. And so like just this run of groups that we just started the past couple weeks, like the group that we're leading is a new group that we started, and so there's one couple that came with us. They were in a group with us before, but then there's two other couples that have never been in groups, and so everyone's kind of new to each other and meeting and getting to know, and it's way better than if we had just been this one core group and then brought a new couple in, especially if they're not a super outgoing person or couple. It's much more awkward. So multiplying groups is tough. Wouldn't recommend it.
Yep. So maybe it's a little bit different, but we found that engagement is a lot higher if people know. This is a bad way of saying it because you could say, well, it's not being punished, it's being missional, but it feels like you're being punished by having to lose your friends because you built a good community. So anyway, take it or leave it. That's what we do here. Number 7, this is really important, is that all groups follow the same structure. So for us, they share a meal. Some people do it before or after, and then we give them our groups are sermon based. So we write the group leader guide every week. It's written in a way though that if they weren't there on Sunday, it's easy to follow along with.
Yep.
But that's what groups are, and we ask people to end on time, all that sort of thing, so people know exactly what to expect. And the problem can happen is you hear people say, we want to do a book study, we want to do this, and really they don't want to do it. It just sounds nice but then no one will ever do the homework, and then it's just like, you've got to be willing to say, here's what we're doing, so that you can tell people from stage, here's what we're doing, so people know exactly what they're signing up for, so that they can be healthy and organized, and you know what's going on. And it's hard. It can be hard, particularly in a smaller church setting or in a church plant where people with good intentions have good ideas of stuff that they want to do, but you cannot be all things to all people and run a healthy church. And you've also got to be willing to say, here's all we can do, and here's what we're doing. And you might have other preferences, which they're not bad, but that can't be happening here. And so one of the things that I see is that groups are all over the place. You can do whatever you want to do, but we have found groups that are the same in structure, follow the same leader guide, the expectations are clear. You're going to have a lot better chance of people signing up than if they're signing up for something and they don't know what they're getting into, and you might not even know what they're getting into.
Yeah, it's going to be it's way more difficult to talk to people about groups if there's a lot of variation. If you're like, these groups do this group does this one goes through a book, this one goes through sermon, whatever, then it's way more, even if someone's interested, it's way more to process that you got to think about, where do I want to sign up with all these options. But for us, it's essentially just what day of the week and what geographical location works best. And they're all the same. I mean, the most variation we have, which you mentioned earlier, is we have a couple of groups that meet bi-weekly instead of weekly. And even that, to me, as I'm explaining it to people, is like, I wish they were just all weekly. Some of them are bi-weekly, so that's a little caveat we got to throw in there. But that's like the most deviation we get from the norm, and so just making them uniform. I mean, it helps the leaders immensely not have to come up with their own thing or not have to decide what their group is.
Bi-weekly. By bi-weekly, I think you mean every other week. Isn't bi-weekly twice a week? I get confused.
No, bi-weekly is every other week.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bi-monthly. That's every other month, isn't it? Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly.
You ever been paid bi-weekly?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
By twice a week. I don't even know what that would be called. Dual week? I don't know. But keep them uniform wherever we were talking about. That's it'll really help.
Yeah.
Help signups and also help your leaders enjoy it.
Yeah, and again, the challenge is people with good intentions will come to you with expectations of things that they want to do, and what's it called? This categorical decision making. Like if you already know, here's what we're going to do, it makes it really easy to say yes or no to other requests. And again, with good intentions, people have things that they want to do, but maybe it's fine to do to the one person in the beginning, but then someone else is going to want to do something, and then before you know it, everybody's doing stuff, nothing's being done well, and you just got to know, here's what we're going to do. So this happened, I'll give you 2 examples of this. One recently, or last week, Brian's wife, Brittany and I were talking about how this girl wants to start this singles group for or single parents.
Single parents,
Yeah, like single whatever. So Brittany and I were talking, and of course we were on the same page because we knew what we were going to do here. And we're going to tell her like it's great that you want to do it. New City is going to support you, but we're not. It's not going to be a New City ministry because we just don't have the capacity for that. We don't know who would run it, and so if you want to do it, you can use our space. We're happy to support you, but it's not going to be like New City promoted. And this, it's not that people mean it this way, but sometimes they kind of assume, well, you've got a lot of people, so I've got an idea. Tell people about it, so they'll come to my idea.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not really how it works because again, oftentimes they want us to do it too, not just not always, but some. And it's not that they're being malicious about it, but in our experience, a lot of times people have ideas of what they want to be offered at the church, and what they really want is they want it to be offered so that if they are off and aren't busy and are free that night, that they can go to it. Yeah. Not that they're going to actually go to it to actually all the time to start it up or to lead it. Yeah. And so that was helpful to be able to be like, it's just we're happy, we'd love to support you, but we're not going to lead that. And then yet last night I was talking to someone else, and she was asking me if she could use the church building for a women's group. And I'm like, oh, so it might be kind of awkward. Because she's great. Someone who's come to New City for a while, serves, gives. I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell her we're not going to do that. Now, come to find out, she wasn't talking about like some sort of like women's Bible study, but she was talking about like a monthly craft night thing, that's fine. You can, and it wasn't, New City's not going to promote it, but you can use a space, you can tell the people. But I thought, it was going to be a lot easier though, because I knew I was going to have to tell her if she wanted to start like women's Bible study. That's great. And you can tell stuff about it, but it's not going to be something that New City is promoting because at this part of our church life, we're just not doing stuff like that. And not that it's wrong. And so just being able to know up front when people come to you with requests that how you're going to answer it is really helpful.
And I think you mentioned, but this is, it's really easy to make concessions to this early on. Like if you're just launching and someone wants to do this new thing, and it's real easy. I mean, who's it going to harm? It's one person doing this thing, and we're just launching groups, and so maybe it's really not going to deviate that much from what we're doing, and so it can be real easy to say yes in that, and that may be true. It may not really be that detrimental this one, but that opens the door for others. And as you get further down the line, it's much harder to kind of rein in once you've said yes to a bunch of different things than to just have a clear path of what we're doing. And this isn't like being a dictator about it. This isn't like, unwilling to talk about it, but part of leadership is knowing the direction you want to go and bringing people along. And so knowing if this is the direction we want to go, if someone comes up with an idea, it's kind of like you're saying, if it's something you want to do on your own, that's great. And support you, but this isn't going to be something that the church is necessarily going to facilitate for you.
And a little pro tip, whether it's groups or anything that somebody has an idea that they want the church to do, you can always encourage people to say, hey, I'd love to meet about it. Why don't you write out a detailed plan of how it's going to go, and then we can talk about it. Yeah. Because then it puts the onus on them. Like if they want to do this, they've got to think about it. The vast majority of the time, they're not going to do it. And so instead of you saying, no, we're not going to do it, it's like, oh, well, they clearly didn't care that much about it, because if they're just giving you ideas, that's great. But I think oftentimes we feel bad telling people no when they don't even really want to do it. They want you to do it. And so if you just make that, and if they come back and have a plan, well, then you might have something there.
Totally.
You could actually support them, and it might turn into something. But a lot of times people have suggestions that they kind of want to maybe show up or help kind of lead, but they want you to take the reins on it, and it can take away from the stuff you're really trying to do. So have all groups follow the same structure. It'll help you out long term. And then last but not least, number 8 is to talk about your group. So if you're in a group, you should tell people about it. If if you're a preacher, if you preach regularly, you can use a story from your group, or say, we're talking about our community group the other night or whatever, just so people know that it is something that you do. And if you do it, then they should do it. This is like, we had to re-record this episode.
Oh, I was wondering if we were going to be honest about.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries.
Yes.
I'm going to use the same example. I thought about it.
2 episodes and forgot to record some of the audio. So 2 episodes down the drain.
They're new and improved.
And now we're back.
I'm going to use it again, though.
All right, let's hear it.
Let's talk about COVID. So this is a good one.
You even thought about it.
Yeah, I was like, it makes sense. So
halfway through last time, it's like, I shouldn't have said this. We'll go with it.
We'll go with it. It's not like everyone. This is not you got to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, that's fine. I don't care. But let's talk about COVID vaccines. People have opinions on them, right? I'm vaccinated, whatever. For me, part of the thing that would have made me not get vaccinated is if all of the scientists and doctors that were creating this vaccine did not themselves take it.
Yeah.
If they were all saying, we're doing this and you guys do it, or they said, we're going to take it, but like they didn't, like we got like video evidence of them taking it. It's like, oh, okay, they are using what they created. So it gives at least, depending on your level of trust, I don't know, in people or whatever. But I was like, okay, if they create it, they're going to use it. That makes my willingness to take it a lot higher. Whereas if they created something, they said all of you take it, you would be like, no,
Yeah.
like if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And so I think this is same thing about having your leaders in group and you talking about your group. Like share stories of stuff that you've learned so that people know, oh, if they're in a group and it helps them, then it might actually be really beneficial for me.
Yep. I mean, it's part of leadership. Like people are going to, and kind of like we were talking about earlier, your leadership needs to be in a group, but also don't be silent about it. Like
Yep.
if you enjoy your group, which hopefully you're not in it just because it's part of the job, like hopefully you actually have friends there and enjoy it. Talk about it with people. Talk about it in your sermons. Like talk about it from stage, and as you meet new people in the that visit the church, mention it to them, and people will be much more likely to get excited about it if they hear other people excited about it. But if it's just kind of part of the job and no one really ever talks about it, then it might be a little tough to have those conversations. But if you are genuine, like this isn't something we need to hide. I feel like if you are genuinely enjoying it, and if you're not, then you may need to look at the reason that you're not. But if you actually have friends there and you're enjoying the time that you get together, then mention it to people, talk about it, and that's kind of like, I mean, this isn't a good word to use for it, but that's the best way to like sell groups is to talk about your own experience and why you like it, and that's gonna do a lot more than just telling people it's time to sign up.
Yeah, and even during like the serve pushes, talk about give a story from your group so that people all know that you're not just talking about it, but that you're actually a part of one. So
exactly,
everybody, just talk about your groups, and that can also help as well.
Yeah, sure will.
So those are 8 tips for more small group signups. Hopefully some of those were helpful for you. If you want more tips and advice, you can go to practicalplanting.com, a lot of free resources, or the Facebook group, Practical Church Planting on Facebook. We have a page that we just kind of upload videos to at some time. It's not the page, it's the group.
The group.
That's where the action is. Practical Church Planting on the group. And of course, we do episodes every single Wednesday. So thanks for being with us, and we'll be with you next time on Practical Church Planting.